corrections, which I've already talked to Matt about, just the computer picking up weird things.
Mainly for the addresses and a few names. So.
Right.
They did finally spell your name right, Mr. Krager.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that,
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I had. I'll make the motion to approve with corrections.
I'll second.
Clerk, would you call the vote, please?
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Krager?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Moving on to old business, we have two items on old business. The first item would be a resolution for the electors of the city council. Clerk, would you read that, please?
Resolution submitting to the electors of the city of Marion, Ohio, a proposal to establish 4-year staggered terms for members of city council and a 4-year term for the president of council.
And
Yes.
I would like to ask what your, when you decided which wards and at-large were going to run in which election, what was your thinking? Because I still think that the at-large should be all on one, because it's a best...
With the president.
Yeah, and it's the best of 3. So if you have 10 people running, it's going to be the top 3. If you split that up, it gives a little bit of advantage to a single.
I think it's just less confusing, too.
Yes.
Okay, the rationale on that was because most of the cities that have 4-year staggered terms do it that way. That's basically the only reason. I did research. You can do the 6 wards together and the 3 at-larges together with the president. The only thing that makes a difference is that you're going to have 6 elected one term and 4 elected the next. You won't have 5 and 5, but there's no reason it can't be done that way.
I look at it structurally like the city mimics kind of like the federal government, and you have like, the president being kind of a combination of what the Senate leader and the Speaker of the House, and then, in that respect, okay? Because I look at areas, when you're doing it that way, you're looking at areas of coverage, and I think you mentioned that last time, being the citywide for the at-large, and just having still the whole area for the wards, but still they're just sectioned out. And, but that was my main thing, was geographical kind of coverage with that.
I don't see any reason that can't be done. If we want to make an amendment to that, we can, I suppose.
Okay. Actually, I do have a question for the law director as far as when this is presented. So we're going to present it as a question as far as going that, okay? So that will outline those terms, what starts with first and then so forth as well.
Actually, the Board of Elections will use the content that you send across the street. So
Right.
if it's in this form, it's ready to be sent across the street. Or if you change in regards to what you were just discussing, then that would be the form.
Yeah.
The question would be as contained in the ordinance.
As contained in the, yeah, okay, thank you.
So we would send what we want, well, kind of like...
Out of what we had, yes, okay, that's it. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I would like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to separate out with the one election would be the at-large and the president of city council, and the next election would be for the 6 wards.
Okay. But while you're crafting that, is there an order that you'd want? I'd want to have wards first.
Well, no, it's immaterial to me.
Okay.
I don't think it really matters as long as...
Okay, all right. So I'll second that then, so.
Okay. We have a
Yeah, administrative
motion
question.
and a second.
Administration.
Has anybody checked into what this is going to cost to get on the ballot?
Shouldn't cost anything,
Okay.
because they're having an election anyway, so...
So it's just a question,
Yeah.
in November, and then it would start 27, and then the second phase would be 29.
Okay, good.
And I see I saw her first. Please come up to the podium, please. State your name and address, please.
Diana Jesse, 701 Blaine Avenue. Doesn't that defeat the fact that you want at least one city council to be able to be with the new ones coming in?
What we're trying to do is to make it so that not all 9 members can be voted on at one time.
Okay, 9 members, not so
right.
much that-
As long as we've got, we'll either have 6 ward people that are seasoned and the other 3 are running for election, or we'll have 3 and the others are running. So hopefully that kind of balances things out.
Okay, because the way you guys were wording it, it didn't sound to me like you were taking into consideration that you could have 7 brand-new city council people and not have it staggered so that you can train the new ones that are coming in.
Right, so what we could have is, let's say that this gets approved at this election, and then the next election, the 6 ward members run for election, and let's say that they all lose and everybody new comes in,
Right.
then we would have the 3 sitting council members.
Okay.
Actually, no. It
I
would-
know, you're right.
It would not be that way, because everybody would be
First
up
time.
for the first time, would be
First time.
all up. It could,
Yeah.
and it-
Right.
one election cycle.
Well, so the first election cycle, if you were going to go with the
Everybody,
wards, so you would do, the wards would be for 4 years,
And then-
the at-large and the president would be for 2 in the initial election.
Right, that would be next year's election if it's passed this year. So, Mr. Daniels.
Daniel, 608 Decatur Street. I'm a little confused, so bear with me. Are you proposing that you extend from 2 years to 4?
Correct.
Okay. Are you also proposing that we approve or disapprove in a sort of like an election? It says submitting to the electors of the City of Marion, Ohio proposal, or is this going to go through City Council?
If we pass this ordinance, it will go to the Board of Elections. They will place it on the ballot for November, and it will ask the voters of Marion if they want to elect us 6, at one time staggered elections, 6 and 4, and if they want to go to 4-year terms, which would be staggered terms. So the first 6 wards would be elected for a period of 4 years. The 3 at-large and the president would be elected for 2 years. And then the next 2-year election, the at-large and the president would be elected for 4. And then every 2 years, you would have those elections take place. It'd be for 4 years each time.
If the voters approve.
If the voters
If the
approve.
voters approve it, yes. That's all contingent upon the voters approving in November.
The issue I take is the fact that of the 9 members of the city council, you're all co-equal. You all equal 1 vote. I mean, if you're talking about the 6 wards having a 4-year term and the 3 at-larges having a 2-year term, well, that kind of makes it,
It would only be for that initial period.
That's
'Cause if
only
the-
to gain the staggering.
So whoever's elected at large in the next election would serve a 2-year term, but then at the end of that 2-year term, that election would be for 4 years and 4 years moving forward, which would put it on, that's the only way you can do it to get staggered.
Right.
But the thing about it is, you still have equal power when you are sitting on your office, you know,
Right.
when it comes to voting and so forth. You see what I'm saying? When
Wards
once
and
you-
at-large are the same voting power, no matter if you're 2-year or 4-year for that first term.
you're talking about the first 2 years though.
Right, that's all. Then after that, everybody will be on a 4-year cycle.
And then what happened, I mean, I guess I should ask, it's like what happens basically after that? I mean, when you're talking about a staggered cycle, it's going to be like,
Okay, let me explain, and I'll use dates, okay? Assuming this gets passed this November, next year in 2027, everybody on council is up for election again. The 6 members of the wards would be elected for a 4-year period. The 3 at-large and the president would be elected for a 2-year period. So now you got a 4-year term and a 2-year term. Well, in 2 years, you're going to have another election, and the at-large and the president would then be up for election, and they would be voted in for 4 years that time. So then in 2 years later, the 6 wards would come up for vote, the at-larges and the president would not. So then it swaps every 2 years. So 6 wards would be up for vote in 1 year cycle, and at-large and the president would be up for the next cycle. But it would repeat every 2 years. You still vote every 2 years. It's just you don't vote for the whole council. Did I make that understood, or no?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just kind
no problem.
of, it just kind of confused me a little bit when,
Yeah, well, Lonnie, what it does is it ensures that like if the city gets hacked off at us,
we can just have a recall.
well, yeah, well, that's always an option, but you never have a totally green council. There's at least 3 and the president that are going to be there, or the 6 wards.
You have-
Every election, there will be
Experience.
It's
experience.
called
remaining.
institutional knowledge. You get that as you go along, and, when
I only ask this because, I mean, the State House, of course, doesn't do it this way because the representatives are every 2 years, and I think that's what the people want. And then, of course, on a national level,
Yeah.
Congress is 2 years, where senators have this oddball 6-year thing, but,
Yeah,
we kind of put up with the last
they're a
6
third
years.
of the Senate, yeah.
They have elections every 2
The
years.
main thing is, the reason I approve it is because voters in Marion will have to say so if they want to go this route. Otherwise, it remains the same as what it is now,
All right, thanks.
Yes, Mr. Dickett.
Hi, Bill Dickel, 6th Ward Council. I don't know what the Ohio Revised Code is, maybe the law director would know, but if somebody runs for a 4-year term for ward, 2 years later, you're having the at-large, and they just say, well, I'd rather be an at-large council. Is there verbiage in there that they have to complete their term before they can run again?
No.
Or they can go free and move around?
No, there's no statutory provision that a person holding office is obligated to complete the term of that office. We see it many times in many instances, maybe at the federal level. They may hold one office, but they're going to run for another office. So there's nothing in there that prohibits a 2-year council person from then running for the 4-year at-large when it comes open in the mid-cycle.
Would it be wise to put something in there?
I don't know that we could.
Okay.
Better question is probably, are we permitted to do such a thing in the Ohio Revised Code?
I don't know, you're the law director.
I would. So this is what it's worth, because I'm giving it to you off the cuff.
Okay.
I don't think we're allowed to do that.
All right.
Because of the freedoms associated with free will. A person serving in office can resign at any time if that's what they choose as far as their free will.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Ms. Lepke.
Teresa Lepke, 555 Normandy Drive. I think this is a good idea. I also like the 4-year terms. I think sometimes 2 years isn't enough to really understand. City government is complex, just like serving on any board of directors. I know city council is different, but normally a board of directors is going to be a 3-year term. So I think the 4-year terms is also a good idea. The one thing I would also say that I think would be important to give us a broader representation of people on city council and open more doors for people is to remove the party affiliation from city council. I think it would allow a much more diverse council, and that we'd hear from a lot more voices and have a lot more qualified people running for office if there was no party affiliation. And really, when we look at it at a city level, it's really who from your ward or who at large knows the neighborhood the best and would be best to represent you, and it shouldn't be about party. So I would encourage you to consider amending this to include removing party affiliation.
Okay, thank you. I'll pose that question to the law director.
I've seen something recently within the last week that there are like proposals available on social media about different alternatives. I can't answer that. I wouldn't begin to answer that this evening.
It's gonna take some research.
I don't believe in a statutory city in Ohio that you can provide through a council ordinance for the removal of partisanship. I can see this process that you're considering to undertake has been around for decades, if not longer. But I've never seen any reference to going a step further, meaning removing partisan connections or connotations.
In my research on this subject, the only way that you can remove party affiliation is through a charter city, to be a charter city. Then you can remove that. But otherwise, I think you're stuck with Rs and Ds and whoever else. Yes, sir. Mr. Rollins.
Aaron Allen, City Council at Large. Thank you for the amendment today. Appreciate that. Also, you may want to look at just section 6, some of the bold-faced verbiage in there. Staggered elections, so that approximately 1/2 of council is elected every 2 years. That might be a little misleading at the polls, given the amendments that you made. I don't know if you want to change that or not. I'm just pointing it out. The other thing, I've been a long time proponent of what Ms. Lupke just suggested as well. And I would agree that through my research, there is no path in a statutory city for that, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments on this? Anybody from administration? Wishes of council?
You already have a motion.
Motion on the floor.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I didn't got
I want to make sure I have this amendment clarified, and I'm sure the law director will have to help me at one point. The section 3, the following seats shall be elected to 4-year terms. Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The following seats shall be elected to 2-year terms and thereafter serve 4-year terms, and those are at-large 1, 2, and 3. In section 4, it states now, beginning the first municipal election. I have changed that to beginning with the municipal election in 2029. Following voter approval, the president of council shall be elected to a 4-year term.
No, I don't think that's correct. Should be 27, the same as everybody else.
But that's not what you guys were talking
No,
about. You
you
said
can-
you were going to put the at-large and the president.
Which would be, they'll still vote, but this will become effective next year if it's passed. It'll become effective, they will be elected in 2 years. We have to do it that way in order to get them onto the cycle.
Okay.
So I think it still has to take place in 27, but they will be elected for 2 years in 27.
Yeah, 2 years and 27.
Right, but that's not what this says. It says beginning with the first municipal election following voter approval, the president will be elected to a 4-year term. That's why I changed it to 29.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
I understand.
That way, they still get the 2-year term in 27, but in 29, if this passes, they'll get the... And then, under section 6, per Mr. Rollins' suggestion, staggered elections so that a portion of council is elected every 2 years,
Yeah.
rather than specifically stating a half.
Well, it does say approximately 1/2.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I just-
I marked out approximately 1/2 and just put a portion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Could you read that back, please?
Which one? All of it?
All of it, please, yes, let's make sure we're clear.
I'll read the whole section.
Thank you.
Section 3, in order to establish staggered terms for the 9 members of council, the following transition schedule shall apply, beginning with the first municipal election following voter approval. The following seats shall be elected to 4-year terms: Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, and Ward 6. The following seats shall be elected 2 years later, or to a 2-year term, and thereafter serve 4-year terms, and that's at-large 1, 2, and 3. Thereafter, all councils shall serve 4-year terms. Section 4, beginning with the municipal election in 2029, Following voter approval, the president of council shall be elected to a 4-year term of office. And section 6, proposed change in term of office, Marion City Council. Shall the city of Marion change the terms of office for members of city council and the president of council from 2-year terms to 4-year terms, with council seats elected in staggered elections so that a portion of council is elected every 2 years?
May you have any comments on that?
Well, I was just thinking do we need to add something to that that says to provide for continuity on council? No? Okay.
Just
I
to-
wouldn't.
I don't want to get too wordy,
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
but I want the people to understand why we're doing it.
right.
Okay.
Clerk, would you call the vote, please?
Mr. R. Smith? Yes. Mr. Kreider?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
However, I do want to say, if we're going to have the 3 reading, or, well, how you had that outlined, and if we'll find out something, other information from the law director for the next,
Right.
we can amend that.
And we can discuss in that.
All right.
So tonight will be the second reading in committee. Okay, item number 2 under old business, again, is discussion of decorum during meetings. I do not believe we have sufficient information to proceed on that, do we?
No, not at this time, but I would like to make a couple of comments. Whatever we do, we are not singling out any group or person in reviewing the rules of council. And the rules, as far as decorum, will apply to city council, the administration, and the audience. Everyone will have to abide. So, no obscenities from anybody, or you're going to get gavelled down. We're still working on the finer points and making sure that everything we say is supported by case law of the Ohio Supreme Court. So we hope to have that next, would be the first committee meeting in May, which is, what, just a couple of weeks away?
2 weeks, Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, move on to new business. Item 3 under new business is a liquor permit transfer, looks like for Sunoco liquor permit transfer. I have some questions on this one. This is for Sunoco, this is the Sunoco one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Sunoco. Okay, it's for a C1, C2, which is beer and wine up to 1 a.m., carry out only, correct? Anybody have anything on this?
Well, it's just a transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know, no reason to object. Fire department has no objection.
Okay, no objection? Take no action?
No action.
Okay.
Take no action.
take no action.
I need a vote.
You need to vote on that.
Go ahead,
Huh?
go ahead.
You're making a motion.
I
I make a motion that we take no
I'll
action.
second that.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Kreider?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is another liquor permit transfer. And this one pertains to the Shell station at 587 Delaware Avenue. And I do have questions on this one. This is a D5 permit, which allows for beer, wine, mixed drinks, and liquor to be consumed on premise and carry out until 2:30 a.m. I guess my question is, why would a carry-out service station be selling consumption on premise? Mr. Robbins?
Yeah, long-standing question as to why you can go into that fine establishment, grab a table and have a But that's the way they were issued the permit from the state of Ohio. My understanding was a mistake. I don't know if it was a mistake in filing or a mistake on the state's part, but that's the way they've been structured since the beginning.
Okay, thank you. That provides some information. Wishes of council.
I'll make a motion, we take no action.
I'll second. Clerk, call the vote, please.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Kreiner?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
I mean,
Okay,
Just a
that
transfer.
concludes new business. There are two matters not on the agenda. Does anyone have anything to come before the Legislation, Codes, and Regulations Committee that is not on the agenda for tonight? Ms. Lupke?
Ms. Lupke, 555 Normandy Drive. So I am just wondering about the process to appoint the Fourth Ward City Council member, with that position having recently resigned. According to the Marion Star, the Republican Party was going to appoint that position. However, the person who held that position for those few days was not elected by the community as a Republican. He wasn't appointed as a Republican, and he's not listed online with the County Board of Elections as a Republican. So my question is, why is the Republican Party appointing that, or is that really accurate? What's the status of that?
I
can answer that.
I can answer that too. So let's see if we do.
Number one, you're right, he is not listed as a Republican, but he did pull a Republican ballot in the early election, which classifies him. I talked to the Board of Elections, and they said that classified him as a Republican, and so he was appointed as a Republican. From my understanding, and I don't know if the law director can correct me if I'm wrong, but since he was appointed to the office and held the office for a period of time and then resigned, it has to go back through the original procedure, going to the Republican Party first, then to council, and if not council, then to the mayor. That's my understanding. Is that
Okay.
correct?
That's what the Board of Election has done.
Yes.
Okay, well, okay, I'm different.
So I spoke to the Board of Elections today, and they
I
are
did
not
too.
in agreement on that.
That's right.
The director of the Board of Elections says he is not a Republican. The deputy director said he is a Republican. He pulled a Republican ballot in an election that has not yet been certified.
Right.
So how that would make him a Republican, I'm not really sure. Also, again, he wasn't elected as a Republican. He wasn't appointed by the Republican Party. It seems to me that it would fall in as someone who's unaffiliated to either be appointed by the mayor or the city council goes back and reappoints. So I, as a citizen of an elector of the city of Marion, I do not think that this should go back to the Republican Party, and I want to make that known, and I think it's important that we publicly talk about it so that it's just not happening without the citizens' knowledge.
Okay, so what I have found out, that matter as far as party designation was referred by the Board of Elections to the Secretary of State's office last Thursday. And today, that having not received any information from the Secretary of State's office, it's been forwarded to the county prosecutor. So that's where it stands. And everything else, as far as that not being certified and so forth, how that refers back, because since the resignation took place, and where that stands as a nonpartisan situation.
And the Board of Election told me to ask Mr. Russell what was going to happen.
I'll tell you after the meeting, no.
They told me, go talk to Mark Russell.
So you already get a sense of the entities involved in this issue. One of the primary entities involved is the Board of Elections, because when a vacancy is created, the clerk of council under Ohio law is required to inform the Board of Elections of the vacancy. Given the resignation last Wednesday, Mr. Pollack sent that notice to the Board of Elections. As you heard, the Board of Elections has indicated they're asking their legal advisor to give them guidance too. So the Board of Elections is waiting on guidance from either Secretary of State Elections Division or the county prosecutor. Of course, that's the Board of Elections' decisions as for how they conduct their business. that doesn't, the city council has statutory obligations that it must conduct its business in the manner in which it feels is best and compliant with Ohio law. So we're at the point in time, that may be what the Board of Elections is doing, but it's, I don't have, can't prognosticate what's going to happen next, can't predict what's going to happen next on this side of the street.
So do you have an interpretation of what the city council is supposed to do?
So at the last meeting, the city council voted and filled the vacancy, and then that person resigned 2 days later. So I don't see any issues with the past actions of the council.
I think a lot of, or I think everything's going to hinge on what the Secretary of State says as far as that. Once we get that direction from the Board of Elections, then we can proceed as we have to go.
And I think and again, just want to reiterate, I think that needs to be made very public so
Yes,
that
I agree.
Yes.
people understand what's
That's right.
happening and that we don't just end up with somebody appointed with not an understanding by the citizens, especially if there's someone who might want to, protest if they don't agree that that was the right process.
Right. I agree. Thank you. Anyone else have anything? Hearing nothing, meeting's adjourned, 7:01 p.m.
Scott. I just got those in my email today.
Gentlemen.
Sure, Howard.
The time is now 7:03, and we're calling to order the Marion City Council Zoning and Annexation Committee. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Krager?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Yes. Present. All right, look at the summary of proceedings. We have actually two. One's going back from last year, September 2nd, for the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read that?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second. All right. Clerk, if you take the roll, please.
Mr. Krager?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
And next, we have the summary of proceedings for the special zoning meeting of the 23rd of March, 2026. Has everybody had a chance to read those minutes?
Yes.
Any corrections or revisions? I think I just had one on page 2 for Mr. McInnes's name, and then that second paragraph at the end.
I'll make a motion to approve with that. McKinnon,
Second.
with that adjustment.
All right, then motion and second. As amended?
Mr. Krager?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
All right. The next item is for new business, that potential ordinance regarding the annexation of certain property off Silver Street, and I'll refer to the law director regarding this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The minutes you just approved from March 23rd were actually the minutes where this issue first came before your committee. This matter being the annexation petition filed by the 100% owners of parcels that are on West Fairground Street in the vicinity of 309. And last week, the commissioners, as a part of their statutory obligations, passed a resolution approving the petition requesting to be annexed to the city of Marion. You are seeing the second step in this process, the annexation process in our Ohio Revised Code that's before your committee tonight. The ordinance draft that each of you has in front of you was updated this afternoon. The most recent update is in a completed form, meaning the descriptions have been inserted where the copies you have indicates description to be inserted later. The final form the clerk does have those descriptions, and I made a small clerical refinement to the section in the ordinance before you having to do with the designation of zoning post-annexation. Mr. Attorney Ted McInnes is with us this evening. He's the attorney on behalf of the petitioners. He's available to answer any questions you have. But to meet our timelines, I would hope the committee, after having your questions answered, send this on to council. It's important to note the petitioners are entitled to this matter to proceed to council. So that a matter such as this can't die in committee, it must be sent on to council.
The only thing I've got really a question on, what you just answered, was within the crafting of the ordinance, if it has the zoning within that. So that was important. And then oversight for any conditions of situations where any structure and so forth, well, that we'll have an opportunity to review all that as well. Is that
So the planning commission will be the entity that will review their proposed development of the parcel, and issues such as barriers or drive access, those will all be dealt with in the city planning commission with regional planning's assistance.
Questions?
And C1A is appropriate for this parcel?
Yes, this morning when we were doing some of the finishing work, I'd shared that with Zach Himmler, the zoning compliance inspector, and he confirmed for us that that would be the appropriate zoning for the intended use in this case.
I do know, just based on some email traffic, that there are some concerns from local citizens. In fact, I believe there is a complaint filed with the Attorney General, State of Ohio. So I'm not going to hold this up in committee, but I do think we should probably take a really close look at this when it gets to council and have a nice lengthy discussion. So I would urge that.
Any other comments? No. Comments from the audience? Lonnie, oh, sorry.
So 8 Cater Street. I can only sit there and debate on what it was when I went by there and saw the 20,000 tires sitting there or so. I'm assuming that's the property you're talking about.
Yes.
I haven't been by there recently, but, I mean, has that been cleaned up? And was any city funds used in cleaning that up? I heard it was either the city or the county that sat there and cleaned that up.
Township.
Township. So is the estate or the petitioners are they going to be paying the township back for the cleanup?
Perhaps Mr. McInnes could speak to that if you allow him to come up. Yes, yes, yeah, that's cool.
Thank you for the question.
Yes.
The tires have been removed. I was out there just a couple
Please
days
state your
ago.
name and...
I'm sorry, Ted McInnes, 686 Brightwood Drive. Here tonight representing the agent, the estate of Curtis Logan. The estate has entered into a contingent contract with a company to construct a building that would be used for a Dollar General, as we all have heard about. And this company has built over 1,100 nationwide Dollar Generals, and they are very reputable, and I think you'll be very pleased with what they do there. I think also we should, the good thing about this is not only the tires being removed, but it's going to create a few jobs in a neighborhood that I think that would be very helpful to that neighborhood. But it also, and more importantly perhaps, provides an alternate source of necessities to be purchased by families in that area, and it gives them another option without having to drive great distances or cross the tracks or whatever needs to be done. So I think those are all good points about this. As to the tires, my understanding that the tires were removed by a grant that was obtained by the city, I believe. It was not part of the
Public health.
Department. I'm sorry, not by the city, by the Marion County Health Department. Those were there for a number of years, and so looking at it the other day, it looks very nice. I mean, it's fairly cleared and ready for the next step. As Mr. Russell mentioned, this has been before council before, where council extended the privilege of services, police, fire, and others to this location. It's 1.785 acres. The site plan will go before engineering of the city and the regional planning, so they'll have plenty of time for input. The next step after the services were offered, and the next step was to city council, as Mr. Russell mentioned, or excuse me, the county commissioners, and they approved it unanimously. And the township is not affected because this property remains in the township for purposes of taxation and other reasons. So really, it's just going to provide a little bit of income base for the city of Marion. And as to the tires, we did hear that at the commissioners meeting, that the Marion County Health Department applied for a grant and had those tires removed. So happy to answer any other questions you might have.
For Mr. Daniels' question about if there's any sort of issue with that grant having to be repaid or anything like that, probably. I don't know the...
My understanding is that grant would not have to be repaid because it was granted by the state of Ohio under for the Marion County Health Department.
Okay.
So it was a bonus to the community already, whether this annexation is approved or not. It's been a bonus to the community to have that cleaned up. Finally, you'll get another chance because this will come back. If you move it on to city council, there'll be an opportunity for the public at large to speak to any questions they might have about the ultimate construction of a Dollar General in that location. So I think there are a lot of pros to it, but certainly folks at the next meeting, your council meeting on the 27th, will be important for folks to have their opportunity to speak to it. We're hopeful that it would be passed as emergency legislation because the construction season is upon us, and we'd like to have that community get the benefit of the construction as soon as possible.
Hold on, let me ask. Okay, go ahead.
You want me to say that again?
Yes.
All right, fine. On the annual 608 Decatur Street, I kind of wanted to know how much that the township had to sink into cleaning these tires up.
It was a grant. So I don't know the answer to that question, but that would be something you could...
They did it with a federal grant or a state grant.
I don't
Take
know.
that up at a township meeting,
Yes,
they'd have those answers.
Yes.
We won't have those answers.
Perhaps regional planning would as well, so.
Well, maybe you should. I mean, you're annexing the piece of the township into the city. I mean,
My understanding was it was around $20,000, the grant. Now, how much of that was used on tire cleanup, I have to assume the majority of it. That's my
okay,
understanding.
well, the average tire runs approximately $25 per tire. And so that would have covered about 4,000 of them. So I had understood that the person that put them there got paid for them to the tune of $5 per tire. And so I just kind of wondered why we had to use grants and other means to sit there and clean up somebody else's mess when they made money off of it. It's like, we don't get to do that. I mean, that pile sat there for years before it was addressed. And the only reason why it was addressed at all is because, well, now Dollar General is going to be put there. And so that means there might be some tax money involved. I don't know how much. You only get like maybe 12 people working there. But, and we've got 6 of them now, from what I understand in Marion City. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't have anything in it. I just noticed that somebody seems to have put $100,000 in their pocket, walked away, and it's leaving to the township to clean up the mess.
I would say that I would ask, go to the township meeting and find out. Although, Mr. McKinnis, do you have anything else to add to that?
To my knowledge, the township has not had to spend any funds for this project.
Okay, so. All right. All right. Yes. State your name and address, please.
Kimberly Mayer, 890 Gephardt Street. What he just addressed is all valid. We all need to address that. That is all completely valid. All of it. Let's see. My comment starts, a few weeks ago, there was a panel where candidates were running for commissioner. They all gathered, they had this discussion. And Mr. Schauber made comments because there was a question, let me set this. There was a question that was proposed to the candidates about the old Tecumseh land being used as a store. Perfect, right? Too bad it's crap land, right? Because of EPA says no, right? My question comes there. So this is a tire place, and it was used. It was like a mechanic shop. Oils and stuff be spilled. I'm old enough to know that people didn't always pay attention and put things in proper things. So my point is that land probably is very well contaminated. Sorry, I keep looking your way. Try not to. Very much contaminated. So now it's just fine to put a grocery store on it. It's not fine just to throw a grocery store on it. If it's not fine to put a grocery store in another area without putting effort into checking the land. And I don't think we put any effort into checking the land to see if it's good enough. So yeah, and the fact, once again, to his comment, that this individual that's being represented by a lawyer today that happens to be deceased, this is the widow, but this entity collected money, and now we had a grant come in and clean it up, and it just all seems not proper. And I think the council and stuff needs to adhere to Mr. Rollins and really proceed with caution instead of just hurrying it up because it's going to give 12 jobs. I understand it's probably a great idea to have a store in that area. I'm sure there's another area that maybe we can find or something, because I don't know that that land is it. I just think that there was some kind of shady back deal done some years ago of getting rid of the tires. You keep the tires here for cleanup, city cleanup. Keep the tires here for city cleanup, and then we'll take care of it later. Meanwhile, the client's person pocketed money for the tires. So it all just seems shady.
Well,
does that make sense?
I was going to say yes, but we don't necessarily know that. But we
Okay,
it seems. But, and again, for the contamination, there's a lot of things that have to go as far as construction, as far as process, that has to be discovered during that time. If there's issues with anything like that, that's going to be discovered. It'll be in the future, like with city planning and so forth. They can put some probably put some stipulations on that if the state doesn't have any regulations with that. You see what I'm saying? As far as discovering during the construction process, before, they do soil testing or something.
That's my question. When are we doing soil testing?
So that's what
they're already doing paperwork. Did you not hear that? Do you not hear the fast? I hear ching, ching.
Remember, we don't have to put an emergency clause on it either.
I know, that's trying to. That's what I'm saying. I urge you to listen to Mr. Rollins and not fast track it.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else, please? Yes, Mr. McKinnis.
Just a quick response. I've been doing real estate deals in Marion for 50 years. Done the Menards, done Myers Square, done Ohio Galvanizing, done the Marion Logistics. And I think, I can assure you that this company will make sure this property is environmentally sound before they construct on it. And they'll do a number of tests to make sure that is the case. So I just wanted to assure you of that this is not going to be a contaminated property. And not only that, but this is a contingent contract. It's not in the bank yet.
Okay.
And a lot has to happen before there's any exchange of funds.
And one of those things would be rezoning. Yeah, it has to be in the
That's
sequence,
correct.
yes. Okay.
Your annexation is dependent. If it's not
Yes,
annexed,
right,
it will
they don't
not
go through.
be sold and developed.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, wishes of the committee.
I'll make a motion to send on to council. No recommendation.
Second.
All right. Clerk, I'll take roll, please.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
All right. All right, matters not on the agenda. Does anybody have anything to speak to for zoning and annexation concerns? All right, hearing nothing, this meeting is adjourned at 7:21.
Yes, sir.
He's not next, is he? Matt? He's not next, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Mine next.
Why?
Had one come in after it, so I'm after finance.
Yeah. Finance first.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm moving. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're interchangeable apparently. It might be helpful.
What's this pertaining to?
Just handing this out, so I'm not sure what else could go there.
You get a friend here, look.
Hey, I brought him from home.
You minus one resident.
Freaking ants. Drive me crazy. It's not good dog food, you know, because they come in through the garage.
Yep. Here you go.
Welcome back.
Seven point four, we will open Finance Committee for 4/20 of 2026. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Present.
Mr. R. Smith? Here. Mr. Clark?
Here.
First order of business is minutes from the April 6th meeting. Hopefully you had a chance to review.
I have, and I would recommend, make a motion to approve or accept it.
I'll second.
I got a first and a second. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right, we will start with old business. Before I get an update on audit process, Mayor, could you please give us an update on our plan with the state and the resubmission?
I'm hoping that we hear, obviously this week, when we submitted the plan to the state. One of the people were on vacation that week that we submitted it, so they had to get back. And I'm hoping we hear tomorrow, the next day.
When was the officially submitted?
April 1st, or no.
April 6th?
Yeah.
And you're thinking we should hear back within the next?
I'm hoping this week we hear back, for sure, would be my guess.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 1 is just an update on audits, where we're at with Clark Schaefer Hackett, and where we're at with reconciliation process. Is he back to work?
The reconciliation is stuck at 22 right now.
Okay.
2022 is still in work in progress.
Is the gentleman who had some health issues, has he been back and we're working through it? Okay. Any idea on a timeline there?
Sorry?
Any idea on when he might be finished with 2022?
He would like to finish it by end of this week, hopefully.
Okay. Any questions from committee?
No, I have none.
Anything from audience? All right, I'm going to move on to penalties and appeals. I guess first question, have there been any changes since the last meeting with regard to penalties and appeals?
No.
No news of?
No news.
Okay. Any questions from council? Questions from?
No, for me.
All right, we will move on to new business. First order of business, item 3. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance requesting additional appropriations for the Commercial Building Code Department for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026.
All right, so this came in, again, this is, I believe this is going to be funds to basically get the pass-through fund started. Correct me where I'm wrong here, please.
That's exactly correct. So originally we had appropriated 10,000 at the beginning of the year. They have brought in 36,565.22 so far in revenue. We're asking for an additional 26,565. There is one invoice outstanding at the moment. They're waiting for us to approve this. That one is about 10,000. So once approved, we can get that paid. But you can see that nothing more is going out than what we've collected.
Okay. Questions from committee?
No.
None for me. I recommend we pass this on to council with a recommendation to approve.
I'll second that.
All right, any questions from audience? Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right, next item is item number 4, bike trail donation. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance authorizing the appropriation of donated funds for the bike trail signage at Quarry Park.
Yeah, so this is, again, some local organizations have donated funds for bike trail signage out at Quarry Park for the mountain bike trail there. As I do whenever I see these, I will call out companies that donate: Central Ohio Mountain Biking Organization and Poet Bioprocessing. Because of that, I will be abstaining from this one. So So I'll get that right on the table before we go. If there's any questions, I can answer them.
I make a motion that we send on to council with a recommendation of approval.
Second?
Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Abstain?
Mr. Arshmith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Second.
All right, next, item number 5 is the WWTP insurance funds. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance authorizing the acceptance of insurance proceeds and making appropriations to the sanitary sewer fund for damages at the water pollution control facility.
Okay, this came to us from Matt Ice.
It's actually,
Oh, okay,
we
please.
worked together on the ordinance, so I think maybe that's why his name was on there.
Okay, could you give us an update? I'm not 100% sure what this is for.
So last year, there was a claim to the aeration blower at the water pollution control plant.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so they had filed a claim with the insurance company. They approved it, less the $1,000 deductible, which we will move around in their budget without asking for additional appropriations. So then we're just asking for approval to accept the revenue and then expense that.
Got it. Makes sense. Questions from committee?
None.
Recommend pass through to the full council with the recommendation to approve.
Second. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Arshmith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right. That is all I have for new business. There is a couple of reports in here, including one that I laid out on the table. Did have one question from one committee member on what the additional document was.
I was just letting you guys see the money that had come in, the revenue versus the expenses, and when we actually paid out any of the invoices.
Oh, this went back for the, I'm sorry.
Building code.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it either.
I just wanted just to give you guys the update.
Very good.
Nothing went out the door, I guess, until after any revenue had been brought in.
Yeah, that's my miss, sorry.
That's fine.
It was being watched, I guess. at this point.
Other than that, normal reports are in here. You guys can review them. If you have any questions, see the appropriate poll. With that,
I do have a question.
yes, please.
On the budget performance report, I went through it and I noticed that a lot of these have percent used of 80, 90, 95%. Is that something normal, or is it something like they had to pay early and?
So depending on the line, you also have to take into account encumbrances. So any open purchase orders that a department or a line might have, that gets included in that percentage used.
Okay,
So,
all righty.
Just a little clarification on the budget that we're in now. We just concluded last week, Chelsea and Safety Service Director met with all the departments, went over their budgets, kind of line by line. And sometimes you do see a 90 or 95%, usually that's an insurance that had to be paid up front, or a contract with a vendor that had to be paid up front. So we're going okay. We went through everybody's budget. They know that we have no money, so they're trying very hard not to spend any money. And we didn't have any big red flags or concerns after we had those meetings, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions from committee? Any questions from the audience on matters not on the agenda? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
Now that the plan comes together, right?
yeah, that's true.
Mark, did you need a copy of this?
Thank you.
Yep.
Seven 35, call to order the Streets and Sewers Committee. Clerk, will you take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Present.
Ms. Larkin?
Present.
Okay, we've got a summary of proceedings. Ms. Larkin, have you had an opportunity to review
Yes,
wishes of the committee?
say adopt the meeting minutes.
Then a motion to approve, and I'll second that.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. Larkin?
Yes,
I guess you can need the back page. Okay. Have item 1, a discussion. Discussion of solar panels at wastewater treatment plant to offset utilities and expenses. I believe this comes from Mr. Russell.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's a team effort. It didn't come from me, but a little more than a year ago, there was a presentation regarding the proposal to place a solar field array to the west of the wastewater treatment plant, with the purpose being to reduce operation costs at our wastewater treatment plant. Council had authorized us entering into an LOI, a letter of intent. We've been working hard for the last 12 months to get to this point. With us this evening from SP&L Solar is John Haley and Greg Akers. And they're here to give you a presentation mainly associated with the work that's taken place between 1 year ago and today. There's been a lot that goes into designing and preparing to put in place a alternative to receiving the electricity at the plant from Ohio Edison. And so Mr. Haley and Mr. Akers are here with us. I ask them to come forward and present to your committee, Mr. Chairman.
Please do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. I'm Greg Akers, Vice President of Business Development, one of the original founders of the company Solar Power Light. We're located just south of Dayton, Ohio, in Miamisburg. We have been building solar arrays for about 15 years for municipalities. We've built for the city of Cincinnati, wastewater treatment plant and water treatment plant in Xenia. There's a water treatment plant in Franklin, St. Paris. We came, like Mr. Russell said, a year ago and made a presentation for a project that is zero expense to the community. It's simply a way of savings, guaranteed savings for a period of about 25 years. John Halley is our commercial project manager, and he pretty much runs the show when it comes to doing these analyses. And we've been back and forth several times with the wastewater treatment plant folks out there, and we think we've got a very viable project that can guarantee some savings for the community for a number of years. So I'll turn it over here to John.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're proposing 2.5 megawatt is the size of the project. It would produce 80% of the power for the water control plant. We're going to call it the wastewater treatment plant in this proposal here. And this is behind the meter with the one electric account. There's 1 meter with that facility to First Energy Ohio Edison. And we would be tying into the existing electrical infrastructure on the site. Just to show folks, this is large 3 parcels of land. This is the landfill, and it has a cap liner, so it's been monitored for gas. It's actually gone through the gas period. We're proposing to put solar on the entire landfill as a phase 2. That would be power going into the grid. Today we're just going to talk about the piece of the power that goes to the facility. Again, these are owned by the city, so it's parcels that are owned by the city, so no ownership issues. We do what we call a fatal flaw analysis, looking for things that would kill a project, essentially. And this has passed all the steps. It's not in a flood zone, doesn't have wetlands on the site, it's out of airport pathways, so it's basically a very viable project. This is the layout. This is 2.5 megawatt layout. This is a ground mount solar project. So these are 2 panels, stacked portrait on racking. And because this is a landfill, you can't penetrate the ground, so we're not pile driving stakes in the ground or corkscrews in the ground. It's basically all going to be ballasted. So it's weighted down by rocks and baskets to keep any wind uplift. But essentially, just to wrap up, a power purchase agreement is no expense to the city. It's investor funded, so there's not a penny out-of-pocket expense. The investor would utilize the tax credits for solar, which is a 30% commercial tax credit. This area actually has an additional 10% tax credit for what they call an energy community. It's a place that used to have fossil fuel employment but no longer does, so it's has an additional 10% tax credit. And the investor gets depreciation tax benefits. They take all these tax benefits, invest in a project, and to the end user, the city, you would get a stable price for 25 years. And we have multiple investors that have competed for this project. They've come up with a 7.9 cent rate. It's actually 0.5% escalator. It's not the 1%, that's an error. Electric rates just went up a lot in the last few years. The 7.9 cents, that's the all-in rate, and the city is paying 12 cents all-in. And the supply rate is around 7.9 cents now. So we think this is going to create year-one savings, and as electric rates continue to rise, which they will, the savings will get greater over time. So you're only paying for the power that's produced from the facility, so it's our team's job to keep the facility running, do the maintenance on it, make sure it's operational, and the power will feed the facility. And if we get approved for 80% of the load, it would be a case where the solar would overproduce in the summer, send power back into the grid to compensate for the fall and winter months. We're submitting the interconnection to Ohio Edison, and we're going to be having a phone meeting with their head of interconnection to make sure this size is going to be approved. We don't want to wait 2 months to hear that we can't do 2.5 megawatts, and maybe we can do 1 megawatt. So we're going to have this discussion soon. I included a slide just to show the waste boundary, which we are working with Ohio EPA. In fact, an application goes to Ohio EPA along with a lot of other local stakeholders. The particular parcel that we're going to use doesn't have a lot of obstacles. I think if we develop the whole entire site, we have to have 15, 20-foot setbacks from a lot of gas vents and things on the site. For the parcel where the wastewater treatment plant is, it's on the same parcel as the solar. And to give you an idea of geoballasted, this is rocks in cages, about a ton of rock in baskets. And that's considered very environmental. So there's no ground penetration with geoballasted solar. So essentially, there'll be a big array field of 2.5 megawatts of solar power. It will go through a transformer and make its way to the customer-owned substation and tie through the existing electrical infrastructure on the site. And we've worked with the on-site engineers, their consultants, to make sure it ties into their equipment. And it's actually a company called ASCO that has the switchgear. We talked to the gentleman who developed that, designed that switchgear. And there's an extra bay, solar will tie into an existing open bay and into the infrastructure. And it has to work in a way where it works in with the diesel generator, and the generator's tested every month. When that's tested, the solar will not power the plant, so there's a lot of controls that make all that work. As I mentioned, we did what we call the fatal flaw analysis, and it's not in flood zone, and it's not in the flood map. FEMA flood zone, that's a big deal for solar development near rivers. You have to be out of the 1-year flood zone. And there's a lot of the land that's out of the flood zone, so that's a plus. We've flown the drone over there a few times. Just, it looks like a green field. For those who haven't seen it, it doesn't look like a landfill anymore. And it's land that has no other purpose. You can't build anything on it, you can't utilize it, so we think solar is a good fit for that land. If we do get to the phase 2 project, which would require a larger study tying into the whole grid, it would require a grid study. That would be like a 2 to 3 year situation. We're interested in leasing the land. There are incentives in Ohio for putting solar on landfills. There's tax abatements and interconnection expediency process where you can get through quickly with solar on landfills. So we'd like to pursue that, but that would be extra revenue we would offer to lease that land. Now, the solar behind the meter, the 2.5 megawatt project is about a $5.5 million investment. And with a 7.9 cent starting price, going 28 years at a 0.5% escalator, the price in year 28 is 9.04. And the average price is 8.46. We think 25 years from now, that price for energy could be 12, 15 cents. So it's going to be well in the money. In fact, as the energy rates continue to rise, the longer the contract goes, the greater the savings. We anticipate electric rates will go up 3 to 4% in the next 20 years. Some people think it's going to be greater than that. Essentially, the grid has to double in the next 20 years. And some people think the rates will double, like literally go from 15 cents to 30. And wholesale rates or rates for commercial accounts, I think this was probably a 6 or 7 cent per kilowatt hour rate. Now it's 12, and that happened in 4 years. We think that's going to continue. So that could be a 15 to 20 cent rate in the future. And again, we're offering the whole rate, not the power produced on site, for 8 cents. So we estimate probably pretty conservatively $2.7 to $5 million in savings over the project life. And it's been a pleasure working with Mayor Collins, Mr. Russell. We've been working on this for quite some time, and we are in the process of submitting the interconnection application to the utility, and we're going to request a phone meeting to determine quickly if they'll accept 80% of the load from solar, or if they want us to do 50 or 60%. The bigger the project, the greater the savings, so we're trying to do as big a project as possible. And in solar world, the commercial tax credits are set to expire July 4th, so that's our deadline. There's a 5% safe harbor rule in place. If we can get this done in the next month or two and get a lot of documents finalized with our investor and do a 5% spend of the project, you can count the tax credits after July 4th that exist before. And you have actually up till 2030 to build the project. Now, we're not going to dilly-dally, we'll move the project forward, but that is our deadline that we're working towards. And so far, we hear making a 7 to 8% spend is actually what you want to do, to not just do a 5%, because you don't want to get stuck with having 0% tax credits when there's 30% now. But we'd be happy to take any questions.
How long of a process is this to have that operational, to get, if you're allowed to use up to 80% to?
Probably 6 to 9 months, start to finish construction.
Really? So it could be early 27 that could be,
27.
that we could be drawing 80% of our energy if you're allowed to do that much.
Yeah, we'd like to hit this time of year to maximize the production.
Okay.
You know, and so, yeah, we would go to work quickly. Like Mr. Russell was sharing, we spent a lot of time on this, and we've got everything pretty much ready to go, so there's not going to be a lot of back and forth at that point once we.
Now with a 0.5% escalator, not a 1%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we just confirmed that too, after all the things happening in the market, the investor confirmed the pricing just a week ago.
And then with the legislation we passed last year, this is outside of the city limits, but it's property we own, so we're allowed to go 2.5 megawatts.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions for these gentlemen? Ms. Meyer?
You should stay right here.
No, you can come up.
Question, so,
You need to come up to the podium. I'm sorry, Ms. Mayor. We gotta be able to pick it up on the mic. Please state your name and address.
Kimberly Mayor, 890 Gephardt Street. So, how much space are we talking about? What's the land size that you're talking about there?
That's 4 to 5 acres per megawatt, so 2.5 meg, about 9 or 10 acres.
So 9 or 10 acres. Okay. And so how many panels would that be? How many panels cover an acre?
Well, they're by the watt, so it can vary as far as the number of panels are.
They're about
So you're
five-
talking about 2.5 watts, so let's go off
They're
that.
2.5
megawatts is the total project size.
Oh, okay.
So divide that by, what's it?
Like 550 watt panels is what they kind of.
So you take 2.5 million divided by 550, that'll tell us the number of panels.
So that's what I want to know. Anybody got a calculator?
I got one right here.
Great. So while he's getting that math, so you're saying that that's good for 25 years?
Yeah, they're warranted for 25
And
years.
then in 25 years, what do we do?
You have either a 5-year extension, like there's going to be there'll actually be a 6-year buyout clause, which you could buy it, do an operation and maintenance agreement yourself and save more money, but probably just easier to write out the no money down power purchase agreement. There could be a 5-year extension. Panels are typically warranted for 25, 30 years. Bloomberg rates panels tier 1, and those are the top 20 brands in the world. And those are financially strong companies, so we only use tier 1 panels. They're getting up to 700, 800 watts, but commercially they're more around 550.
To answer your question.
They're getting bigger all the time. Every year they're getting
4,550.
4,550. So.
And there are 2 panels.
4,550.
2 panels on a rack, stack portrait, so divide the 2 by that number, or that number by 2, and that's sort of.
I've seen like your pictures and I've seen fields of panels and they're not pretty. They're not pretty at all. Okay, so this land, you're proposing to put over 4,000 of these panels that we're gonna have for 25 years, that after the fact, we can buy out if we want.
Yeah, there'll be a removal clause. I mean, at the end of the project life, things will be dismantled and removed.
So what do we do with them? So who?
They're ours.
So they're yours, so we don't have, because that's one of my questions, I'm over here like, okay, because I'm like.
Yeah, there'll be a secondary market for used panels. They'll still produce 80% of what they make in year 1, so somebody will buy them.
Okay, so second thing, you're saying that you're not screwing anything into the ground.
Yeah, you can't penetrate the ground for the landfill. So
Sure,
it's
makes
balanced
sense,
in.
exactly.
Just like on a roof, you wouldn't drill into a roof, you kind of have ways.
I would rather see people have these things on their roofs than to see them covered my green grass.
Well, this is a landfill.
It's a landfill that could be just grass. It could just
And
be.
it could save the community $8 million.
It could just be like all this, like grass. And then like we could have like people like with a
Yeah,
radio.
but
Hold on,
I could
I'm
address
talking now.
this.
So we have like little radio, things and drive them around. There's lots of reasons we could have just plain area. But my question is they're ugly and you're saying you don't screw them down into the ground. So we have a lot of like wind and tornadoes. So what happens when they go sailing through and causing problems? Then what?
They're weighted down by.
That, I've seen things that are weighted down that have gotten blown over. I've seen trees that are extremely heavy.
These
that
things are
still fall.
professionally engineered to withstand.
So what
hail
happens when they
wind.
fall? That's my question.
They generally don't.
They generally don't. Okay, okay, so good, thank you. So next I have, let's see. So yeah, so we could just leave that to the council. We could just leave that green. We could just leave that green space. We don't have to put anything there. Because my thing is President Trump really just opened up a lot of things to do with oil and coal, has to do with energy. We ourselves here in America are producing energy that we are exporting. Why do we need solar panels? We don't. So the fact that they're saying that it's going to be super expensive here soon, our utility prices and things should come down. Because of the fact that after things are established, and companies like the coal and the oil, because it's green and clean, all that stuff gets going because he's only been put in office for a short period of time now. We already seen what he did before in the influx of business and whatever. The energy bills and stuff go down. We don't need we do not need these solar panels because they're ugly. They're just ugly. We have those in the windmills. We need to get away from this green energy and use the energy that we already have.
Mr. Mayor, I think we get your stance on that, and we appreciate your input.
Okay, so I hear you, and so since I'm done with my comments, I'll be done. But from now on, I want to be complete with my comments before I'm done. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, Mr. Clark.
I spent some time hauling stuff out of that dump. And I'll tell you, I think it's a great idea, because there's nothing else you
What
can
else
use
can you
it.
do with it?
What's your address?
Mike Clark, 543 King Avenue.
Yeah, as part of the bigger project, if we're able to do that, it's substantial per acre revenue, guaranteed. So it's really, making money for the community. Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Russell, is all forward and thorough.
Where did you do with the rest of it?
That's all I got.
It's only missing the signatures.
Oh, it's only a signature page. So we can count on the clerk to add the signature page.
The clerk didn't want to waste paper on just my signature page.
Any other questions from the audience, administration? Wishes of the committee? I'll make a motion to send on to council with a recommendation to approve. I'll second that, Ms. Larkin.
I'll second that.
Okay. If you don't, that's fine. So take roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. Larkin?
Yes.
Matters not on the agenda. From the audience, administration, seeing none here, none, we're adjourned, 7:56.
How many you got in there? 3/4?